Hello everyone. So I was just like, this is like it's already in the evening already. I just want to just make this video about myself. Mostly just to just talk about whatever we're gonna talk about. But I'm not talking much today. I'm just going to do a little short video about myself and my journey in the evolving stage. So I'm just going to continue from there. Oh my head. And at this time I'm 18, still doesn't still don't have a job yet or have a partner. 18 is still young, still young. Yeah, still young. Anyways, um I wanted to also listen to Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn. So as we're listening to him, we're going to be taking notes. Okay? So it's going to still echo in the background. So stay tuned in this video and we will begin now. Let's begin. So begin now.
That is it. So you gotta know, you gotta have the information. So jot this down now.
So I'm writing out and jotting out Jim Rohn's wisdom, like what it says. So
As I used in my notes, what you don't know will hurt you. Ignorance is not bliss.
like he said, what you don't know will hurt you. And ignorance is not bliss. It's actually true though. What you don't know will hurt you. Ignorance is not bliss.
Ignorance is tragedy. Ignorance is illness. Ignorance is devastation. Ignorance is going broke. Ignorance creates a poor life. So you got to know, you got to have the information. Number one, learn from your personal experience.
Learn from personal experience.
One way to learn to do it right is first mess it up and do it wrong. That doesn't mean it. One way to learn to do it right is first mess it up and do it wrong. That doesn't mean it's the end of your life, but just, clean up the mess. Now do it right. From a negative experience, sometimes we learn to do the positive things that saves our life and makes us successful. They say, if you survive your first heart attack, if you survive, you may now live to be a very old person. Why is that? That first heart attack was a wake-up call. And then maybe the doctor said, another one of these, and your history. And you say, wow. And you make it for the health food store. And you start reading every book you can read on health and nutrition. And you start doing the push-ups, and you start jogging on the beach and doing all the stuff. And all of that change now could very well help you to live a long, long life, having been alerted in an alarm system that serves you well. Okay? So learn from your negative as well as your positive experiences. Here's the next, learn from other people's experiences. That's how you get smarter in experiences. Here's the next, learn from other people's experiences. That's how you get smarter in a short period of time. Somebody that's been through it for 5 years and they wrote a book. Positive experiences. Here's the next, learn from other people's experiences. That's how you get smarter in a shorter period of time. Somebody that's been through it for 5 years and they wrote a book. And the book, if you read it, could save you 5 years. Cost $30. So you can't miss that kind of education. Best to get the information before. Yes, we can recover. Yes, we can come back, from the grave, practically. Yes, we can come back from bankruptcy and disaster and poor health. But wow, if we had the information up front that would save us some of those years of disaster, how much better that would be. So learn from other people's experiences, both negative and positive. In the seminar I do for Jerry, here's what I say. Too bad failures don't give seminars. We don't want to pay them, so they don't give seminars. But their information would be valuable. If a guy's messed up his life for 40 years, you just have to say, John, would you spend a day with me? And I'll bring my notebook, and take good notes. Good-looking guy like you, beautiful family, every reason to do well, and you threw it all away. Teach me for a day how you messed it all up. Right? And you just take good notes so that the same thing doesn't happen to you. So learn from your experience, learn from other people's experiences. If you learn, life is worthwhile. Here's the second if. If you try, you gotta now try something. If you learn. Life is worthwhile. Here's the second if. If you try, you gotta now try something from what you've learned. We've talked about that now earlier. Take action. You never know. My father said you never know until you try. If we put the bar up 2 feet and ask the kids to jump over the bar 2 feet high, what will the kids say? Some will say, no, I can't. Some will say, easy. Some will say, what? I don't know. So how are we going to find out? For everybody, you got to take a run at it and see if you could jump the 2 feet. So you got to try it to see. Who knows? You don't know. What if you tried and knocked the bar down? Does that mean you cannot jump 2 feet? No. You try it, what? Again. Then somebody shows you a little technique, right? Leave the ground a little earlier. Okay. First thing you know, 2 feet is easy, when before you couldn't or didn't think you could. So you got to try it. Giving speeches and doing talks. Age 25, I stand up to give my first little training. My mind sat back down. I open my mouth and nothing comes out. My knees are knocking like this. The sweat is pouring. It's called terror, in case you haven't tried it, right? But I got through it somehow. It was so bad, if I hadn't been doing the class, I'd have gone home. It was bad. I'm so happy you were not there. You would not have paid this kind of money for my first presentation. Wow. But I got through it. And then I did it again. I didn't know if I should even try again. But sure enough, I had the kind of mentor and the kind of teacher who said, hey, that's nothing. What if you go up to bat and you strike out? Does that mean it's over? I said, no, it's not over. It's just over for one time up at bat. And then another time and another time, pretty soon you connect. And pretty soon you get good enough to do well. And then pretty soon you get good enough to win the game. And then pretty soon you get good enough to take home the trophy. So you just keep.
Welcome to the new generation of web creation, where words can launch a business, while you control.
So you just keep trying. The third if that makes life worthwhile is if you stay. You got to hang in there. Some people plant in the spring and leave in the summer. Some people plant in the stay. You got to hang in there. The third if that makes life worthwhile is if you stay. You got to hang in there. Some people plant in the spring and leave in the summer. When it gets a little hot and a little uncomfortable, and it looks like the weeds are winning, and it looks like the bugs are having a feast, and you have a tendency to say, hey, I've had it with this. But the key is if you want the harvest in the fall at harvest time, you've got to stay through the summer. Even if the harvest doesn't turn out to be good, you just see it through and then use that experience to do better planting in the spring come the next turnaround of seasons. So stay in there. If you're going to play the game, you got to stay until it's over. What if you were on the team and you guys were behind and you said, hey, we're so far behind, we're out of here. And you all walked off the court, right? We would run you out of town, probably. We wouldn't own you as the home team. Say, I'm behind, so I'm out of here. No, you stay until what? It's over. We're not talking about a lifetime now. We're just talking about this game. If you're in it, stay till it's over. Who are these people who leave as spectators before the game is over? Because their team is behind. Our team is behind, we're out of here. Well, what if the team said that? Who are these people that walk, push and shove, spill popcorn and Coke down your neck, leaving early? Who are these people? They're the ones that are saying, we're going to beat the traffic. Oh, that's one of the greatest skills on earth. Beating the traffic, leaving your team that's behind to fend for themselves. Goodbye, we're out of here, we're gone. No. If you sign up for the game, you don't have to go to every game. But the one you sign up, you stay. Right? You don't have to do everything every time, but when you start it, see it through. See the seasons through. Then you don't have to plant anymore if you don't want to. But when you do sign up, go the distance. Here's a guy who builds a foundation and then he walks off and leaves it. Puts up no walls, no roof, doesn't finish anything. He's got these foundations scattered all across the country. Foundations. I asked a friend of mine, I said, Jim, what are you good at? He said, starting over. That's my specialty, right? Hey, if it doesn't work, I don't stay long. No, come on. See it through. Life is worthwhile if you stay. Hang in there. Next. Life is worthwhile if you care. And for my little top, of the service clubs. Here's how I wound it up. If you care at all, you'll get some results. If you care enough, you can get extraordinary results. If you just care at all, you get some. But if you really cultivate your caring character and care enough, you can have such extraordinary returns from productivity, activity, things you're doing underway. Success is something you attract, not something you pursue. Success is looking for a good place to stay. So instead of going after it, you work on yourself. Personal development. See, the major question to ask on the job is not what are you getting? The major question to ask on the job is what are you becoming? See, the big question is not what am I getting paid here? The big question is what am I becoming here? Because true happiness is not contained in what you get. Happiness is contained in what you become. There's a lot of things that can wreck your chances to do well. We live in a rather dangerous world, so you got to be not only wise, you got to be careful. Take full responsibility for what happens to you. It's one of the highest forms of human maturity, accepting full responsibility. It's the day you know you passed from childhood to adulthood, the day you accept full responsibility. And another note, learn to reap in the fall without apology. Without apology if you do well, and without complaint if you don't. I used to blame taxes. Look what you got left after they take complaint. And another note, learn to reap in the fall without apology. Full responsibility. And another note, learn to reap in the fall without apology. Without a And another note, learn to reap in the fall without apology. Apology. Without apology if you do well, and with without complaint if you don't.
So let me just say everything I learned today from the advice that Jin Rohn was talking about. Mm, So that he talked about saying you have to have information, and what you don't know will hurt you. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is strategy, is tragedy. Tragedy is and ignorance is evil. So excuse me. Ignorance is illness. Ignorance is devastation. Ignorance is going broke, and ignorance creates a poor life. So you got to have the information. One way to do it right, first mess it up and do it wrong. Then you now begin to now do it right again. So learn from, and he also said learn from your personal experience, learn from other people's experience. That's how you get smarter in a short period of time. Somebody being true and um somebody who has been through 40 years and then written a book, you can, and that book, if you read it, can save 5 years of your time if you read it and learn from it. So he said if you learn, life is worthwhile. If you try, you got to know, try, you got to now try something from what you learned, from what you have learned, taking action. And he also said if you stay, you don't hang in there. I mean, if you stay, you got to hang in there. Don't jump from one thing to another, just hang in there, stay. And he said if you are going to play the game, you stay until it's over. That one really was really strong. Then he said life is worthwhile if you care. If you care at all, you at all, some results, you see some results. If you care enough, you get extraordinary results. So he said the question that we should be asking ourselves is what am I becoming? What am I becoming every day? What am I becoming? Self improvement. And take full responsibility of what happens to you. You must take full responsibility. You have to take full responsibility of what happens to you and learn to reap in the fall without apology. If you don't do well and without complaints or complaints if you don't, and if you don't. So that was it today. So when it's 30 minutes to end it, yeah. So yeah, that was what I learned today. And I also learned about the 6 plus. I also learned about Cialdini, Dr. Robert Cialdini, about the 6+1 weapons of influence, that talked about reciprocity, that talks about authority, that also talked about liking, uh, reciprocity, liking, authority. What was the other one? I'm still thinking. I'm just like, okay, reciprocity, liking, community, and consistency. That's 4. Remaining 2 more. Think. Mm, they also talked about scarcity. Yeah, scarcity is there now. Remaining 1 more. One more. What was that other one again? Scarcity. Mm, mm. So we have reciprocity, authority, scarcity, liking, uh, hmm, liking, community, and community and consistency. Then there's another one. I just want to remember now. So I have been able to say 5. I said I was able to say 5 of them though. So let me see what I missed. Oh, and the +1, it is then unit. Oh, that one is unit. I will. So in my next video, maybe I might say the meaning of them, the meaning of the 6+1 weapons of influence. That would be so nice. Yeah, that would be really nice. So I'll just continue from there. That'll be the end. So thank you for staying in this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's really meant a lot to me that everyone is also listening. But I'm just like, it's my first time just doing things new, beginners level. But still, it's still fun. Yeah. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Bye.